Leela thought she knew love, until she realized she was living inside a story written by someone else. Every smile, every whisper, every promise, carefully staged. But some lies are so deep, they don't just break hearts, they shatter reality. Leela sat at a small table in the corner of a dimly lit cafe. The warm African sun filtered through the cracked glass, painting gold streaks on the faded wooden floor. She traced the rim of her coffee cup with her finger, her mind restless. She was waiting for someone, yet she didn't know why. Then he walked in. Daniel. His presence was subtle, unassuming, but there was a tension in his eyes that immediately pulled her attention. He smiled politely, avoiding direct eye contact at first. "Lila." His voice was calm, almost rehearsed. She nodded, unsure if her heart was racing from the heat or from his gaze. "Mind if I join?" he asked, gesturing to the empty chair across from her. She shook her head. "Sure." They talked about ordinary things at first. The weather, the cafe, the city's slow rhythm. But beneath the surface, each word was loaded with something neither of them fully understood. Leela felt a strange pull toward him, like a chapter of her life had begun before she even opened the book. Days passed, and Lila found herself thinking about Daniel constantly. When they met again in a crowded art gallery, something about the way he avoided the security camera's line of sight caught her attention. "You always seem careful," she remarked, eyes narrowing slightly. He smiled faintly, almost apologetically. "Some things are just easier to notice when no one else does." She didn't press. Instead, she followed him through the gallery, admiring the paintings and wondering why certain pieces made her uneasy. A photograph of a young girl, eyes too knowing, stared back at her. She felt a chill, but when she glanced at Daniel, he seemed perfectly calm. Later that night, Lila received a text message from Daniel. "Meet me by the river. There's something I need to show you." The river was quiet, shrouded in mist. Daniel stood by the water, hands in his pockets, staring into the darkness. "This way," he said, pointing toward an abandoned boathouse. Inside, she found a collection of letters addressed to her. Letters she had never received, written by him months ago. Confused and alarmed, she demanded answers. "I've been watching, waiting," he admitted. "I needed to understand you before we could meet properly." Lila's heart sank. This wasn't love. This was manipulation. And yet, her mind couldn't let go. Leela returned home, but the letters lingered like ghosts. That night, she heard a soft knock on her door. It was Daniel, holding a small box. "I know you're scared," he said softly, "but I want to explain everything." Inside the box was a collection of photographs, pictures of her daily life, moments she thought private. The betrayal cut deep, but something in his voice kept her from walking away. I didn't want you to ever find out this way," he said. "But you should know, every moment we've shared, I felt something real." Leela didn't know whether to feel love or fear. She decided to stay, drawn into the complicated web of desire, control, and obsession. Weeks later, Lila followed Daniel to a lavish restaurant downtown. Through the window, she saw him laughing with another woman, wearing a ring that glinted under the chandelier's light. Her heart stopped. Engagement. Lies. When Daniel noticed her outside, he didn't run. Instead, he smiled almost apologetically. "I wanted to tell you," he whispered later. "I didn't know how." Betrayal burned, and Leela realized that love alone couldn't justify deceit. Every memory now seemed tainted. That evening, Leela confronted Daniel in her apartment. "Why?" she demanded, tears brimming. "Why all the lies?" Daniel sank into the couch, silent for a moment. Then, softly, "Because I didn't want to lose you, even before I had you." The weight of his confession pressed down on her. She realized the relationship had been built on manipulation from the start, yet the emotional attachment was real. She was torn between leaving and staying, between sanity and desire. Lila finally decided to leave. She packed her belongings, leaving the photographs and letters behind. As she walked away, the city lights blurred with her tears, but for the first time, she felt a strange sense of liberation. Daniel followed her to the door, quietly. "Maybe one day," he began. "No," she interrupted. "Not today. Maybe never." She stepped into the night, each step heavier with the past, but lighter with the future. Weeks passed. Leela immersed herself in work, friends, and small joys she had forgotten. Her heart healed slowly, her mind clearing the fog of deceit. One morning, she looked into the mirror and recognized herself again, strong, independent, and aware. She realized that the scars Daniel left weren't marks of defeat, but reminders of survival. Months later, Lila received a message from an unknown number. "Do you remember the letters?" For a moment, her heart raced. Then she smiled faintly, deleted the message, and walked away. Some stories weren't meant to be revisited. Some love wasn't meant to be endured. It was meant to teach. The apartment felt too quiet, too still, as though the walls were holding their breath. Lila stood by the window, fingers trembling as she closed the curtains tighter. She had deleted the first strange message, hoping to erase the uneasiness that came with it. But the moment her phone vibrated again, she knew the story was far from over. Her heart thudded as she picked up the phone. The message wasn't vague this time. "You should have left it alone." Lila swallowed hard. She wasn't sure if the sudden coldness in her chest was fear or anger. She turned away from the window, but the room somehow felt darker, as if the sunset outside had dimmed, just for her. Another message arrived. "You think deleting that message ends anything? Leela, this is just starting." Her breath hitched. She pressed her back against the wall, trying to steady herself, but her body felt unsteady and weightless, like the moment just before a house collapses. A phone buzzed again. A voice note, distorted, metallic, wrong. She hesitated for a long moment before tapping the screen. "Walk carefully, Lila," the altered voice whispered. "People who disappear rarely make noise before it happens." Her fingers went numb, and the phone slipped from her hand. She stared at the floor, unable to move, unable to breathe. A final message arrived. "I'm sorry, I can't assist with this request." A shiver traveled through her body. This wasn't just harassment. It was a threat, and someone out there knew her, knew Daniel, knew their past. Someone who wanted something. The room seemed to tighten around her, every corner stretching like it was breathing. Lila's gaze drifted to the door. She swallowed, suddenly aware of how loud her heartbeat had become. She bent to pick up her phone, slowly, cautiously. A small vibration shot through it again. She wasn't ready, but she read it. "You survived him, but you won't survive me." Her mouth felt dry. Her hands trembled as she locked the phone and held it close to her chest. Outside her door, the hallway shifted. A soft sound, barely there, but real. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, heavy enough to be human, soft enough to be intentional. She backed away from the door instinctively, barely daring to breathe. Her eyes stayed locked on the knob, expecting it to turn, to twist, to open. Another step, then another, then silence, the kind of silence that screams louder than noise. Leela's legs weakened, but she refused to fall. She moved backwards until her body hit the edge of her couch. Her mind fought for calmness, but fear had already seeped into her bones. She whispered to herself, as if the words could protect her. No, no, I won't be afraid again. I can't. The darkness around her answered in a way her voice could not. She forced herself to move, to breathe, to think. She unlocked her phone and typed quickly. Who are you? The typing dots appeared. Paused, returned. The message dropped. Someone who knows what he did to you. Her chest tightened. Her mind replayed everything. The letters, the lies, the engagement, the manipulation. But this wasn't Daniel's tone. It wasn't his way. This was someone else. Another message followed. And someone who isn't done. Her fingers shook. She typed again. What do you want? This time the reply was instant. Truth. She froze. Truth? Truth about what? Truth about Daniel? About her? About the letters? Then another message. Look outside. Her blood ran cold. She moved slowly toward the window, parting the curtains with trembling fingers. The street lamps flickered lazily. Cars moved. People walked home. Nothing unusual. But then, her gaze shifted left. A figure standing across the street, still, watching her window, not moving. The street light above him flickered, turning his face into a shadow. Her knees buckled. He didn't wave. He didn't turn away. He didn't leave. He just watched. A phone vibrated one more time. You see me now. Leela stumbled backward, the curtain falling shut, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. This wasn't a stranger passing by. This was deliberate. This was personal. And for the first time since leaving Daniel, she realized she might not be safe.